Well, here we go, last video of the day, and I've called this Don't Stop the Cavalry. And it's very hard to ignore the cavalry when you have a daughter who's a avid horse rider, pony rider. It's also really hard when you are the head of a what-if non-political, political 1 in 72nd state, and gunfighting is all the rage with your departments. So the Air Force are always asking for new shiny toys, the Army likewise, and I've stopped most bum fights by banning food at work. And if you are the office, the Ministry of Forests and Hedgerows, and you're asking for your Cobra, well, my out of office will be permanently on. But very hard to ignore the cavalry, mainly because they have links to my banking sector via their parents. But anyway, the cavalry have been watching the efforts to reinvent the tank wheel with Glee and the Great Tank Off, and they are now fielding their first entrance into the Great Tank Off, and it's not a tank. But the cavalry have a really good point which they've made based on some of the bad lieutenants' feedback, I think. And they are basically challenging the status quo, and this is the first of their entrants, which is a Centauro B1 120mm upgunned weapons system, reconnaissance, tank destroyer, light screening, highly mobile vehicle. And what the cavalry are saying is, they are saying, well, we've watched all the efforts you've been taking to fit tanks with extra protection, with screens, anti-drone screens, APS, extra armour, and we are saying, well, what's the actual likelihood of the Malagasy army facing a peer-to-peer threat like Russia and Ukraine are when they're fighting each other in Ukraine? And that's a really good point. The cavalry are also saying, you don't go through something, you go around it. And this is their nice little badge here with the man on the os, or lady on the os, with a lance, a shield, and the angry os. The cavalry is saying you need to be fast. They provide a good, efficient screening service. They are strategically mobile. They regard themselves as the backbone of the Malagasy Expeditionary Forces, and they deliver a fast, mobile strike force. And what they're saying is that basically they are the epitome of the indirect approach. So in the African theatre, if you have an intervention and you have, say, a rebel group here, or you have a bad actor, and this is their base, and they might have some units out here, well, actually the cavalry can go past those units, divert some, and then get right to the enemy's critical area and fast mobile strike force. They're not designed to hold ground. They don't need to. They achieve their effects via the indirect approach. Now, the Malagasy cavalry and screening forces operate the Boxer APC, and they operate the Centauro B1. This is a Centauro B1 as in service. It has a limited degree of active hard kill protection here. It's got the long-range sighting system for calling in targeted artillery fires. They work with mobile artillery. It's got the 105mm main gun. It's got some extra protection around the turret area, not a huge amount, and it's got an anti-pooping drone cage. They have also looked into Project 2025. I've done a separate video on that. This is a Centauro B1 with some top attack protective armour. Maintains its active protection hard kill, which covers this frontal arc of the vehicle. It's got an anti-pooping drone cage, some IED jammers, and the ears to make drone operators have to come round into the hard kill APS area, and a bit of extra protection against FPV drones covering the rear hatch there. Now, they are suggesting a cost-effective alternative to all of this tankery and tinkering with tanks, the current trend of the Great Tank Off, and they are saying, just get us the Centauro 120mm upgraded Centauro 1. And this is a model from AliExpress, as always. This is a highly detailed model. The main issue I had in building this, and it literally arrived this morning, it's been on order for a while, was the undercarriage, because this is so detailed. It's really easy when you're getting it off the print gates to lose some of that detail, so I had to plastic hard a few bits with plastic rod. It is superbly engineered. This has extra armour as opposed to the standard Centauro 105. You can see it's got this extra armour on here and along the sides. It's got extra armour on the top here, and I have added some top attack protection here just over the gun system, and I've added a bit of extra armour on the rear. Now this would be a kind of a combination of reactive armour and I expect nearer armour, and that's non-explosive reactive armour. So that's a material which, when hit by an incoming heat round or when hit by an incoming round, it deforms, dissipating some of the blast energy from that blast wave which is trying to force its way through the armour. It's not as good as explosive reactive armour, but it's better than nothing, and it would take the vehicle's protection level probably up to a 30mm cannon, but not really beyond that. Now the 120mm gun system has a new sight system. I've taken the remote weapon system that was spare from the Leclerc Azure. I've added some anti-IED jammers on there. It's got the wind sensor at the rear, and this is a really cost-effective upgrade to the Malagasy tank force. Now, why would you go for the 120mm when you've got the 105s? Well, the reason being is 120mm allows you to standardise the ammunition calibre across all of the fleet. So whereas at the moment you've got 105mm, and the Centauros have been in service now with the Malagasys since the early 1990s. They're showing their age a bit, so having the new reconditioned hulls and having the new turret is a really cost-effective improvement. Now, it does look like there's some extra armour on the turret. This is, again, I just can't stress enough just the beauty of this model. Very difficult to cut out from the print gates, but when you do it and when you assemble it, it's just beautiful. And the Cavalry are proposing this as their first option for the Great Tank Off. I have added a simple active protection system covering the same area as the 105s. It's got some radar warning receivers and some infrared warning receivers on it for that active protection system. It's doing away with some of the bigger radar screens, but it's got like the K2 style ones on. Smoke grenades are on the front on this version. The turret is redone, and I just love this. I think it's really, really good. So yes, don't stop the cavalry.